Welcome to what might be the most profoundly impactful video you will ever experience. Not because it's filled with elaborate words or intricate magic tricks, but because its core subject is you, specifically, the ongoing battle waged within your own mind. Let me ask you this. Have you ever felt as though your own brain is actively working against you? Like you're earnestly striving for positivity, yet your mind persistently drags you back into depths of pain, fear, or regret? Have you ever found yourself smiling outwardly for everyone else while a silent scream echoes within your head? Have you ever lain in bed at night replaying the same agonizing thoughts over and over until you whisper to yourself, "Why can't I just stop thinking like this? Why do I always feel so low, even when everything in my life appears to be perfectly fine? What is genuinely wrong with me?" Let me share a crucial truth with you. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. You are not weak, you are not broken, you are certainly not crazy. However, the way you were taught to think, that is what is broken. That is the true adversary. And that is precisely what we are going to fix, right here, right now. This video is designed to reveal how you can permanently stop negative thoughts and feelings. And we won't accomplish this through mere repetitions of generic motivational quotes. Instead, we will achieve it by understanding the intricate workings of the mind, step by deliberate step. We will systematically dismantle old limiting beliefs. We will replace the pervasive lies in your head with powerful, liberating truths. And crucially, we will equip you with the tangible tools to finally take authentic control of your inner world. Perhaps for the very first time in your life. You won't simply grasp how to halt negativity. You will also gain a deep understanding of how your mind functions, how to consciously reprogram your emotional responses, and how to embark on building a brand new, stronger version of yourself, starting today. And yes, if you happen to be learning English, this video will serve as an invaluable resource for you too. This is because every concept is explained in clear, simple, yet powerful American English, utilizing relatable examples and compelling emotional storytelling. You will not only grow stronger within yourself, but you will also become significantly smarter in your English proficiency. So please take a deep, centering breath, because what you are about to hear might just be the profound insight your soul has been patiently waiting for all your life. Stage 1. Understand where negative thoughts originate. Most people mistakenly attempt to combat their negative thoughts head-on. They might utter phrases like, "I just need to stop thinking about this," or "I should be stronger," or even, "I should just be happy." But by doing so, they are inadvertently fighting the entirely wrong battle. You see, negative thoughts are not random occurrences. They are not external forces attacking you from the outside world. They emanate from deep within you, from a powerful internal domain known as the subconscious mind. And here's a truly startling truth. A staggering 95% of your daily thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are directly controlled by your subconscious mind. This implies that you are, in fact, only truly conscious and aware for a mere 5% of your day. Allow me to elaborate. What precisely is the subconscious mind? Imagine your subconscious as a sophisticated recording machine. From the earliest moments of your childhood, it meticulously recorded everything. It captured the specific ways your parents communicated with you, the nuanced reactions of your teacher when you made a mistake, the manner in which people treated you when you experienced a failure. It absorbed the palpable fear in your mother's eyes during times of financial struggle and the searing pain of being laughed at, ignored, or outright rejected. All of these experiences were silently recorded, often without your conscious permission or awareness. And now, as you've matured into adulthood, those countless recordings have subtly transformed into your ingrained thoughts. So when you find yourself thinking, "I'm not good enough," or "I always mess things up," or "I'll never truly be successful," or "nobody genuinely loves me," that's not genuinely you speaking your current reality. That is your subconscious mind merely replaying old, deeply embedded memories and narratives. Consider this example. Let me introduce you to Daniel. He's 26 years old, intelligent, kind, and possesses a wonderful sense of humor. Yet every single time he embarks on something new, be it a promising job, a blossoming relationship, or an exciting project, he consistently quits. Why? Because each time something inevitably goes slightly wrong, an insidious voice in his head immediately pipes up, saying, "You're just a failure. Why even bother trying? You'll only embarrass yourself again. You're simply not made for this." And tragically, Daniel believes that voice implicitly. But here's what Daniel himself doesn't consciously recall. When he was just 9 years old, he bravely stood before his class to present a school project. He was visibly nervous. His voice trembled slightly. And when he accidentally misread a word, the entire class erupted in laughter. Even his teacher offered a small, knowing smile. Daniel went home crying that day, too ashamed to confide in anyone. But that singular, painful moment became a permanent, indelible scar in his subconscious mind. That scar gradually evolved into a persistent inner voice, and that voice eventually solidified into a deeply held belief. A belief that has since controlled the trajectory of his entire life. That, in essence, is what negative thoughts truly are. They are old, unhealed pain disguised as undeniable truth. So, what tangible action can you take? You don't engage in a direct fight against negative thoughts as if they were enemies. Instead, you observe them with the dispassionate curiosity of a detective. The next time you find yourself thinking, "I'm not good enough," pause and deliberately ask yourself, where did this thought truly originate? Who or what made me believe this about myself? What specific memory or experience is this thought connected to? Because once you begin to understand the actual source, the thought itself begins to lose its formidable power over you. Your very first mission for tonight. Take precisely 10 minutes. Sit quietly in a peaceful space and write this question at the top of a clean page. What are the 3 negative thoughts I think about the most? And for each of those thoughts, ask yourself, where did this specific thought come from? Who initially taught me this belief? You will be genuinely shocked by what profound insights you uncover. You will realize that the vast majority of your negative thinking did not originate from your true self at all. It came from someone else's perspective or experience, and it has been living inside you, rent-free, for far too long. But not anymore, because the very moment you see the lie for what it is, you cease to live trapped within its confines. You cannot effectively fix your mind unless you first genuinely understand its mechanisms. You cannot silence your tumultuous thoughts unless you meticulously trace their roots. And once you truly grasp that 95% of your daily thinking is merely a playback of old programming, you will finally understand that you are not your thoughts. You are, in fact, the empowered one who possesses the ability to rewrite them. Stage 2, the invisible loops that trap you. You've undoubtedly heard people declare, "I'm actively trying to be positive. I'm journaling every day. I'm doing daily affirmations." Yet despite these efforts, they still feel perpetually low. They feel as though they are perpetually stuck in the exact same place, regardless of how diligently they try to move forward. The same draining emotions, the same lingering pain, the same nagging anxiety persist. And they ask themselves, why do I feel like I'm constantly going in circles? The answer is simple, because they are. Welcome to the loop, the invisible mental trap that has been subtly running your life from behind the scenes. What exactly is a mental loop? A mental loop is an insidious pattern of thinking that relentlessly feeds itself. It's much like a particularly catchy yet unwanted song perpetually stuck in your head. No matter what deliberate actions you take, it invariably returns. You try to ignore it, and it paradoxically gets louder. You attempt to fight it, and it fights back with even greater intensity. Let's break down this loop to fully comprehend it. Trigger. Something seemingly small occurs. You might feel ignored in a conversation, you make a minor mistake, or you witness someone else appearing to do far better than you. This instantly triggers a familiar, uncomfortable emotion, insecurity, fear, or guilt. Thought. Your mind immediately conjures an old, deeply ingrained belief. I'm not good enough. They don't truly care about me. I always mess things up without fail. Emotion. You once again experience a surge of pain. You feel waves of shame, anger, or debilitating fear wash over you. Reaction. In response to these overwhelming feelings, you engage in a negative, often self-sabotaging behavior. You might isolate yourself from others. You begin to overthink every detail. You scroll endlessly through social media. You consume unhealthy junk food, or you cry quietly, hidden away. Guilt and shame. After this reaction, you inevitably feel even worse. Why did I react like that again? Why can't I control myself? This internal dialogue only intensifies your feelings of weakness. And now, that very feeling of weakness becomes the new trigger, and the loop, once again, begins its relentless cycle. You wake up feeling tired before your day has even begun. You instinctively open social media, already comparing yourself to others. You make one small, innocent mistake, and suddenly your entire day feels irrevocably ruined. You feel profoundly guilty for experiencing negativity. You feel weak for simply feeling sad. You feel deep shame for not being able to magically heal yourself. And the most tragic part? The more desperately you try to escape this loop, the tighter it pulls you back in. This is because you are not truly escaping. You are resisting. And as the wisdom goes, what you resist persists. Allow me to tell you about Amira, a bright and beautiful 24-year-old university student. Despite her outward charm, she was ensnared in one of the darkest mental loops imaginable. Here's a glimpse into her typical day. She wakes up and immediately looks in the mirror. My face looks so tired. Why am I so ugly? She goes to university and observes others laughing freely together. Why don't I have friends like that? Maybe I'm just not likable. She attempts to focus in class, but makes one small error in front of her peers. Great, now they definitely think I'm stupid. She returns home and opens Instagram. She's so pretty, she's so confident. Look at her amazing boyfriend. She lays in bed at night and cries, but quietly, so that absolutely no one suspects. And here's the tragedy of Amira's situation. None of these perceived issues were genuine external threats. They were insidious mental traps. But Amira's loop was so tightly woven, so deeply ingrained, that she didn't even recognize it as a loop. She genuinely believed it was her immutable reality. This loop cunningly makes you believe that the pain you experience is entirely your fault. It instills a deep sense of shame for merely being emotional. It makes you feel guilty for feeling broken and weak for needing help. So, instead of actively seeking to escape the loop, you inadvertently begin to build a home inside it. You start to internalize and declare, "This is just who I am. I'm simply a negative person. I'll always be like this." And that, precisely, is how individuals remain stuck for years, sometimes even decades. You don't break a loop by directly fighting the specific negative thought. You break the loop by systematically breaking the underlying pattern. This means interrupting the destructive cycle at its weakest, most vulnerable point. So, what is that weakest point? It is your reaction. Let me explain. You cannot always control the initial trigger. You cannot always instantly halt the negative thought that arises. You cannot immediately alter the emotion that floods you, but you can always choose your conscious reaction. Let's revisit Amira's story. She consistently reacted to her negative thoughts with tears and endless scrolling. Then one day, she learned a simple yet profoundly powerful technique from a therapist. When the thought arises, she was advised, don't respond, don't feed it any energy. Just acknowledge it by saying, interesting thought, and then deliberately walk away. So, the very next morning, when she looked in the mirror and the familiar voice declared, "You look terrible," she didn't cry. She didn't argue with the voice. She didn't say anything to validate it. Instead, she smiled, a somewhat fake smile at first, and quietly whispered, interesting thought. She then made herself a warm cup of tea, played one happy, uplifting song, and consciously chose to wear her favorite earrings. She went to class, made deliberate eye contact with someone, and simply said, "Hi." That day, for Amira, the loop broke. Not entirely, not forever, but for that precious moment she won. And one single moment of winning inevitably creates another. Tonight, commit to writing this down. What is one specific loop I consistently live inside every day? Identify its trigger, the associated thought, the emotion it evokes, and your typical reaction. Then, crucially, write down one different thing you will do the next time that trigger appears. Make it something small, something kind, something real and attainable. It can be as simple as, instead of hiding, I'll talk to one person. Or, instead of scrolling mindlessly, I'll walk outside for 5 minutes. Or, instead of saying, I'm a failure, I'll say, I'm learning and growing. Because even the tiniest interruption can disrupt the entire destructive machine. You are not weak. You are not lazy. You are not doomed to this fate. You are simply trapped in a pattern, a loop, that you didn't even realize existed. But now you know. And knowing is immense power. Because when you can clearly see the loop, you possess the power to deliberately step out of it. Stage 3, stop feeding the enemy. Inside, most people diligently try to halt negative thoughts while simultaneously, and often unknowingly, they are actively feeding the very things that generate those thoughts. It's akin to drinking a small dose of poison every single morning and then wondering why you feel chronically unwell throughout the day. Let me state this with absolute clarity. You cannot genuinely heal your mind if you continuously feed it mental junk. You cannot effectively stop negativity if your entire lifestyle is inadvertently designed to cultivate and amplify it. This is the crucial stage where we meticulously clean the soil of your mind, because no seed of happiness or peace can truly flourish in polluted ground. Let's break it down. Imagine your mind as a beautiful, expansive, open garden. Whatever you choose to plant there will inevitably grow. Whatever you consistently water with your thoughts and attention will become stronger. Whatever you permit to enter this garden will ultimately become an integral part of your reality. So now honestly ask yourself, what are you consciously or unconsciously planting in your mental garden every morning? What are you consistently watering with your precious thoughts and focused attention? What kind of mental garbage are you habitually leaving to fester in your garden? If all you consistently feed your mind is fear-based news, toxic social media content, fabricated perfection from curated feeds, sensational drama videos, incessant gossip reels, melancholic love songs, and dark, depressive thought patterns, then what outcomes do you realistically expect your mind to produce? Joy, peace, motivation? It's simply impossible. You are essentially asking your mind to cultivate vibrant flowers in profoundly toxic soil. Allow me to illustrate with a metaphor that might resonate deeply. Imagine there is a room, and on one wall, there hangs a colossal dark black mirror, and every single morning, you dutifully walk into this room and stand directly in front of that mirror. But here's the catch. This particular mirror doesn't reflect your actual face. Instead, it terrifyingly shows your biggest insecurity. It magnifies your worst, most paralyzing fear. It whispers your deepest, most hidden pain directly into your consciousness. Yet you still gaze into it, every morning and every night. You allow that mirror to dictate precisely how you feel about yourself, and you never once question its validity. That mirror, my friend, is your phone. That mirror is the endless reel that subtly tells you you're not successful enough. It's the perfectly filtered photo that insinuates you're not pretty enough. It's the viral video that suggests you're lagging behind in life's race. It's the unforgiving comment section that declares you'll never make it. And the most tragic aspect? You consciously chose to look into it. You chose to keep that mirror in your pocket, placed beside your pillow, embedded within every facet of your life, and then you wonder why your mind feels broken. It's because you've been relentlessly feeding the internal enemy with your precious time, your vital energy, and your invaluable attention. Here are the 3 primary ways people inadvertently feed negativity without even realizing it. 1. Information overload, digital poison. You might scroll through content for 2 hours and consciously remember almost nothing of substance. But your subconscious brain remembers everything. Even if you tell yourself, "I'm just watching for fun, I don't take it seriously," your subconscious is meticulously recording. Her face is perfect, mine isn't. He's incredibly successful, I'm falling behind. That couple looks so happy, I'm utterly lonely. That guy just bought a new car, I'm perpetually broke. You might not feel the immediate impact, but after just 10 days of this relentless consumption, you begin to feel tired, insecure, and profoundly empty. Not because of your actual life circumstances, but solely because of the digital poison you have consumed. 2. Toxic repetition. Songs, reels, drama. Music is an incredibly powerful force, but what messages are you constantly repeating and embedding into your head? You broke my heart. I'm not good enough. Nobody truly loves me. I want to disappear. You hear these lyrics and rationalize, it's just a song. But your subconscious brain doesn't understand just. It only comprehends what you feed it repeatedly. Repetition is a potent form of programming, and most people are inadvertently programming themselves to be depressed, often on an endless autoplay loop. 3. Mental diet. What you talk about daily. Your everyday conversations profoundly shape your emotions. If every single day you talk about what you hate, who betrayed you, why life is inherently unfair, or how everything is consistently going wrong, then what precisely are you feeding your brain? Negativity gradually becomes your default language, your ingrained way of perceiving and interacting with the world. Let me tell you a different kind of story. There was a glass of clear, pure water sitting peacefully on a table. It was calm, clean, and perfectly balanced. One day, someone approached and dropped one single drop of black ink into it. The water changed slightly, but still looked mostly okay. The next day, another drop. Then another, and another. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the water became darker and darker. Not because the water itself was inherently evil, but because it was being steadily fed poison, one drop at a time. This, precisely, is your mind. Your mind is that clear glass of water, and the ink represents the content you consume, the words you repeatedly utter, the people you choose to surround yourself with, the intrusive notifications you wake up to, and the videos you binge before falling asleep. You didn't become negative overnight. You were being slowly, silently, and consistently dripped with darkness. How to stop feeding the enemy. Here's what you can implement starting today. Clean your feed like your fridge. You wouldn't knowingly eat rotten food, so why would you consume rotten content? Unfollow pages that make you feel less than or inadequate. Mute people who only post a facade of fake perfection. Delete entire apps if necessary. Your inner peace is far more important than staying constantly updated on trivialities. Replace, don't resist. Don't merely stop watching detrimental content. Actively replace it with something that genuinely builds you up. Watch inspiring real-life growth stories. Listen to calming or healing audio. Read just one page of a personal growth book. Listen to voices that speak truth and wisdom, not just noise and distraction. Morning and night detox. The first 30 minutes after waking and the last 30 minutes before sleep are when your mind is most susceptible to programming. Use that time wisely and intentionally. Don't scroll. Don't open social media reels. Do not start your day with comparison or chaos. Instead, take deep breaths. Write down 3 things you are genuinely thankful for. Speak one powerful, affirming sentence to yourself, such as, "Today, I protect my mind." Your mission tonight. Write down this question. What 3 things am I currently feeding my mind that are actively hurting me? Be brutally honest with yourself. Then ask, what will I choose to feed my mind instead, starting now? Remember, small, consistent changes lead to monumental transformation. Your mind is not broken. It has simply been badly fed. You are not the inherent darkness. You are the resilient light that has been buried under years of mental noise and clutter. So, stop feeding the enemy within and begin nurturing your inner peace, your inner strength, and your authentic inner voice. Because your thoughts are seeds, and what you plant today will inevitably grow and manifest tomorrow. Stage 4. Clean your mental room daily. Allow me to ask you something incredibly simple. You brush your teeth every single morning, correct? You take a refreshing shower, change into clean clothes, perhaps tidy your living space, or wash the dishes. You do these things because if you don't, your body develops an odor, your home becomes unclean, and you inevitably feel profoundly uncomfortable. But when, honestly, was the last time you consciously cleaned your mind? Not your Instagram feed, not your bookshelf, not your ever-growing to-do list. I'm referring to the actual interior space of your head, the intricate mental sanctuary where you truly live and exist. Because here's the undeniable truth. You do not primarily live in your physical house. You live in your mind, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if you neglect to clean that vital mental space daily, you will find yourself residing in a personal home that feels heavy, riddled with anxiety, noisy with thoughts, painful and utterly confusing. Even if your external life appears perfectly fine and organized, internally, you will feel suffocated and overwhelmed. So today, we embark on a profound mental cleansing. Not just once, not only when we feel depressed, not merely when we reach a breaking point, but every single day. It should become as routine and essential as brushing your very soul. Let me take you deeper and dispel a common myth. Negative thoughts don't exclusively stem from major trauma. They frequently arise from simple accumulation. Just as dust invariably settles on your furniture even if you keep your windows closed, mental dust relentlessly collects in your mind from the sheer act of living itself. A stressful conversation you had, a difficult decision you're deliberately avoiding, a looming deadline you're afraid of missing, a future event you're overthinking to death, a genuine compliment you didn't quite believe, a passing comment that felt wrong but you brushed aside, a subtle fear that quietly crept into your heart, a harsh judgment you made about yourself this very morning. You didn't consciously choose any of these, yet they landed in your mental space. So, if you don't actively clean them out, they relentlessly pile up. Here's what regrettably happens when people neglect to clean their mental space. Stress begins to build up in insidious layers, yet you choose to ignore it. You find yourself feeling more irritated than usual. Even minor things make you disproportionately angry. You become emotionally sensitive, where one seemingly innocuous sentence can cause you to shatter. You feel perpetually tired without any obvious physical reason, simply because your mind is catastrophically overloaded. You cease to enjoy things you once loved because your joy literally has no internal space to reside. You begin actively avoiding life itself because everything feels like too much to handle. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, you stop being your authentic self. You stop laughing loudly and uninhibitedly. You stop dancing freely and joyfully. You stop speaking confidently and assertively. You stop trusting your own intuitive ideas. You ultimately stop dreaming. Not because you are inherently weak, not because you are fundamentally lazy, but because your mental room is entirely full, choked with unprocessed emotions and unresolved thoughts. Imagine a small, confined room overflowing with 100 open cardboard boxes. Each individual box contains something from your mind. One box holds a painful memory. Another contains your unfinished goals. One is filled with your financial anxieties. Another houses a difficult conversation you're desperate to avoid. One contains your paralyzing fear of rejection. Another holds a disturbing thought you had at 3:00 a.m. One is crammed with your lingering guilt, and another, your secret, gnawing self-doubt. Now, imagine attempting to sit down and relax in that room. You simply cannot. There's literally no space to breathe, no room for peace. This, precisely, is what your mind becomes when you never pause to deliberately clean it. Here are 6 powerful, refreshing, and non-repetitive daily practices designed to meticulously clean your mental room. They require no expensive app, no external therapist, and absolutely no outside help. Only you, your conscious intention, and your innate inner awareness are needed. 1. The thought shelf method. Mentally put thoughts aside. When your mind feels utterly overwhelmed and chaotic, you don't need to frantically solve every single problem immediately. You simply need to create mental space. So, visualize your mind as an organized shelf, and when a persistent thought keeps repeating itself, gently acknowledge it and say, "This doesn't need to be solved right now. I will carefully place it on my mental shelf. It will patiently wait there for me." You're not ignoring the thought, you're simply giving it a temporary, organized home so it doesn't endlessly float around, creating more clutter. This practice effectively stops your mind from replaying the same thoughts over and over, much like a broken, skipping CD. 2. Temperature check. Emotional awareness reset. Once a day, perhaps around 4 p.m., pause deliberately and ask yourself, what am I genuinely feeling right now? Where exactly do I feel this emotion in my body? Why might I be experiencing this particular feeling? Even if your honest answer is, I don't know, you are still actively engaging in self-awareness. And awareness, by its very nature, cleanses confusion. Make this a daily ritual, much like checking the weather forecast before you leave your home. You will be utterly shocked by how many unspoken emotions you have been silently holding within yourself. 3. The one-word dump. Efficient emotional release. You don't always need to write extensive, lengthy journal entries. Sometimes, just a single, precise word is more than sufficient. Try this. Before you drift off to sleep, write down one word that vividly describes your predominant emotion from that day. Was it heavy, rushed, lonely, hopeful, frustrated? Doing this simple act helps you quickly identify your emotional clutter, because once you can accurately name it, you gain the power to clean it away. 4. 3-minute mental walkthrough. The unseen power. This is one of the most powerful yet almost universally underutilized cleansing tools. Every evening, gently close your eyes and mentally walk through your entire day, moment by moment. See yourself waking up, walking to the bathroom. What thoughts were running through your mind then? What emotions did you experience during breakfast? Did someone say something that lingered in your thoughts? At what point did your mood begin to shift? This is not about obsessive overthinking. It is purely about noticing. Because when you truly notice, you release. When you clearly name an emotion, you begin to drain its power. Even just 3 minutes of this focused exercise can unload more emotional weight than hours of conventional advice. 5. Speak to yourself like you're a child. Before bed, sit quietly and say one genuinely kind, nurturing thing to yourself, as if you were speaking directly to a small, scared child. Say to yourself, you truly did your best today. It's perfectly okay to feel tired. You've pushed through a lot. I'm genuinely proud of you for not giving up, for enduring, and for making it to this moment. That in itself is more than enough. You are safe now, and you deserve to rest. Practicing this simple act of self-compassion daily will initiate a profound healing of your self-image, because the most destructive dirt accumulating in your mind isn't fear, it's the insidious poison of self-hatred. 6. The micro-forgiveness exercise. Each day, consciously choose one small thing to forgive. This could be anything from a minor annoyance, like someone interrupting you during a conversation, to a more personal grievance, such as forgiving a past version of yourself for a mistake that still haunts you, or a friend who didn't reply to your message, or even a moment when you felt overlooked and ignored. Quietly tell yourself, I release you. I am done carrying the weight of this. My inner peace matters more than holding on to this. Understand that you don't need an apology from anyone, nor do you require closure in the conventional sense. You simply need to consciously put down this burden and allow yourself to walk through life feeling lighter. From all these practices, select any 3 and commit to doing them tonight before you go to bed. Make this a sacred ritual, akin to brushing your mind clean before resting. Because when your mental room is clear and tidy, you'll find yourself sleeping more deeply, speaking with a softer, more intentional tone, focusing with greater sharpness, and feeling a profound sense of freedom. You'll dream bigger, no longer dictated by internal chaos, but firmly in control of your own mental space. Recognize this: you are not too sensitive, you are not overreacting, and you are certainly not broken. You are simply overcrowded. And when something becomes excessively full, even the slightest touch, a mere feather, can cause it to break. Therefore, embrace cleaning your mind as a daily, non-negotiable ritual. Don't wait until you're on the verge of collapse, or in tears, or when life forces your hand. Do it proactively, before it's too late. Do it because you intrinsically deserve clarity. Do it because peace isn't a miraculous gift bestowed upon you. It is a cultivated habit, built one conscious choice at a time. Stage 5. Replace. Don't fight. Let's begin with a fundamental truth. You will never win a physical war by simply screaming at your enemy. Similarly, you will never achieve inner peace by trying to shout down your own thoughts. Yet this is precisely what most people attempt to do. They lament, "I just want to stop thinking negatively. How do I shut off these incessant thoughts? I'm utterly tired of this critical voice inside my head." So, what's their immediate response? They engage in a battle. They desperately try to block the thought, commanding themselves, "Stop thinking this way. Why am I like this? I shouldn't feel these emotions." However, the more they struggle and fight against a thought, the stronger and more persistent that thought becomes. Why does this happen? Because you cannot conquer a thought through brute force. You can only truly win by replacing it with something else. Let me explain this in the most profound way possible. Why fighting negative thoughts is a futile exercise. The very instant you declare, "I don't want to think about this thought," your brain immediately focuses more intensely on that exact thought. This is because your brain doesn't truly process the don't. It only registers the subject. For example, if I instruct you, "Don't think about a pink elephant," you will instantaneously conjure an image of one in your mind. If you tell yourself, "Don't feel anxious," your mind will automatically begin scanning for every possible reason why you are anxious. Thus, when you attempt to combat a thought with more thought, you're not resolving anything. You're simply generating a turbulent mental storm. Each time you argue with a negative thought, you are inadvertently feeding it energy, essentially telling it, "This thought is important. It deserves my attention. It possesses power, and therefore, it will grow." So what is the viable solution? The answer isn't to fight the thought. Instead, you must replace it, redirect it, and ultimately, rewire your mental pathways. Think of it like changing the station on a radio, or turning a page in a book, or choosing an entirely different road on your journey. Let's delve into how this works in practice. Imagine for a moment that there's a radio blaring in your room, playing an absolutely horrible, deeply depressing song. The lyrics relentlessly declare, "You're a failure, you'll never be loved. You're too late for anything meaningful. You're simply not enough." The volume is painfully loud, assaulting your ears and profoundly affecting your mood. What would your immediate reaction be? Would you start screaming at the radio? Would you desperately beg it to stop? Would you sit there crying in front of it? Of course not. That would be utterly pointless and ineffective. Instead, you would instinctively do one of 4 things. You would either change the station, lower the volume, turn it off entirely, or play your own preferred music louder to drown it out. This analogy perfectly illustrates how the replacement strategy works for your thoughts. You don't beg your brain to simply cease its negative output. Instead, you actively give it a new, more constructive direction. Thoughts at their core are very much like habits. And the most effective way to break an undesirable habit is not to fight it directly, but to replace it with a new, more beneficial one. Here's the profound secret. You cannot truly erase a thought from your mind. What you can do, however, is overwrite it. Think of your brain as a chalkboard. If you write something painful or distressing on it, the only way to effectively remove it is by writing over it with something better, something that brings you closer to peace. Consider these examples of negative thoughts and their powerful replacements. Negative thought: I always mess things up. Replacing thought: I learn faster precisely because I've failed before. Negative thought: no one cares about me. Replacing thought: someone loves me even if I sometimes forget that truth. Negative thought: I'll never be successful. Replacing thought: I haven't reached success yet, but I am actively working towards it, and I will. Negative thought: I'm too sensitive. Replacing thought: I feel deeply, and that capacity for depth is a unique strength. Negative thought: what if I fail? Replacing thought: what if I succeed? This isn't about deluding yourself or lying. It's about consciously redirecting the spotlight of your attention. And when you repeat these replacement thoughts frequently and consistently enough, they gradually become the new default voice in your head, shaping your perception and reality. Consider this powerful analogy. Imagine a large, pristine white wall, perfectly painted and beautiful in its simplicity. Yet right in its exact center, there's a small, inconspicuous black hole. Most people would walk past this wall without ever noticing the tiny imperfection. But then one person stops, fixates, and begins to stare. They become utterly consumed by the hole, unable to avert their gaze. They completely ignore the expansive beauty of the wall itself. Their mind starts spiraling with questions. Why is there a hole? Will it get bigger? Did I somehow cause this? I absolutely hate this hole. Soon, that minuscule black hole expands in their perception to become their entire world, overshadowing everything else. But here's the crucial point. The hole itself never changed in size. Their focus did. This is precisely how negative thoughts operate within our minds. They are often just tiny, isolated holes within a vast, beautiful wall of our experiences and potential. But if you allow yourself to focus on them, to dwell on them for an extended period, they will inevitably expand to consume your entire reality. The key insight is this: you don't necessarily need to fix the hole. What you do need is to step back, gain perspective, and once again see the entire wall, the bigger picture of your life. That's the transformative power of replacing thoughts. It gently pulls your attention away from that consuming hole and allows you to rediscover and appreciate the broader, more hopeful landscape of your existence. It's important to clarify, these methods aren't mere affirmations, which can sometimes feel like superficial positive statements. Instead, they are sophisticated replacement tools, solidly backed by actual brain science and the principles of habit rewiring. The reversal technique. Flip the fear. When a scary or particularly painful thought arises, immediately challenge it by asking, what is the opposite truth that could also potentially be real in this situation? For example, if the thought is, I'll probably fail this interview, the reversal could be, I might surprise myself and actually do much better than I expect. This isn't about lying to yourself. It's about consciously offering your brain a new, hopeful option to consider. This act of presenting an alternative possibility inherently creates hope, and hope, in turn, effectively reduces fear. The so what method. Cut the drama. Many negative thoughts are inherently dramatic, filled with catastrophic what-if scenarios. What if I say something wrong? What if I lose this critical chance? Instead of fueling the panic these thoughts generate, respond with a calm, assertive, so what if I do? Would I still be alive? Could I still learn and grow from it? Would my inherent worth still matter? This simple yet powerful question dramatically reduces the emotional weight of the thought, creating much-needed space for logical reasoning to emerge. The upgrade method, version 2.0 thinking. When a negative thought makes its appearance, envision that you are updating your brain's software. You're not attempting to delete anything. Rather, you're installing a better, more efficient version of your operating system. Original thought. I can't do this. Update. I'm actively figuring it out, one step at a time. Original thought. I'm not ready. Update. I'm becoming more ready with each passing day and every new experience. This reframing strategy makes your brain feel safer and more capable of moving forward, rather than freezing in anxiety. Take a moment to write down the 3 most common negative thoughts you've experienced this week. Then, for each one, craft a powerful, compassionate replacement thought. Jot these down on a sticky note and make it a practice to say them aloud every morning. Furthermore, repeat these new thoughts anytime the old, familiar patterns try to creep back in. Why? Because your brain inherently believes what it hears most often. Train it, don't fight it. You were not born to live with an internal storm raging inside your head. However, you cannot quell that storm by merely screaming at it. You can only change the emotional weather by consciously changing your mental forecast. This means actively replacing fear with possibility, replacing shame with genuine growth, and replacing debilitating doubt with proactive progress. Your mind isn't broken. It has simply been playing the same old, worn-out tape for far too long. And now, it is definitively time to change the music. Stage 6. Talk to yourself like someone you love. Let's start with a potentially painful but critically important question. If another person spoke to you in the exact same manner that you speak to yourself, would you realistically maintain a friendship with them? Take a moment to truly reflect on that. Consider the harsh words you often utter to yourself when you fail, make a mistake, forget something important, feel utterly exhausted, shed tears, face rejection, or simply stumble. Do you typically say, "It's okay, you're human, and you'll try again tomorrow with renewed effort"? No, more often than not, the inner monologue sounds more like, "You're so stupid. Why do you always mess everything up? Nobody genuinely cares. You're such a burden. I honestly hate myself sometimes. I'll never get anything right." The profound tragedy here is that if anyone else spoke to you with such cruelty, even just once, you would likely walk away from that relationship without a second thought. Yet you subject yourself to this verbal abuse every single day, and you cannot simply walk away from your own mind. So, what inevitably happens? You find yourself living within an internal house where you are perpetually verbally abused by your very own voice. While most individuals possess an inner critic, for some, this critic transforms into a relentless inner bully. This voice doesn't offer guidance or constructive feedback. It mercilessly attacks. It whispers or shouts assertions like, "You're always lagging behind. You're not as good as everyone else. You're weak, you're ugly, you're lazy. You absolutely deserve to be alone." Now consider a different scenario. A 7-year-old child approaches you, their eyes filled with sorrow, and tearfully confides, "I made a mistake today. I feel terrible about myself. I think I'm just not good enough." Would your immediate reaction be to scream at them? Would you retort, "You're an idiot, you'll never amount to anything and nobody likes you"? Of course not, that would be unimaginable. Instead, you would instinctively hug them tightly, look gently into their eyes, and reassure them, "It's perfectly okay. We all make mistakes. That's part of being human. You are still so worthy and loved. Let's try again together tomorrow." So why then do you not extend the same grace and kindness to yourself? The answer lies in this. Somewhere along your life's journey, you inadvertently learn to treat yourself with profound cruelty instead of essential compassion. This deeply ingrained pattern must change starting today. Visualize your mind as a vibrant garden, and your self-talk as the dedicated gardener. Every single word you utter to yourself is either planting a new flower of hope, carefully pouring life-sustaining water, or cruelly severing the very roots of your well-being. If the gardener constantly murmurs, "This plant is utterly useless. It's never going to grow into anything. I despise this plant. Why are you so agonizingly slow? Then even the most inherently beautiful flower will inevitably wither and die. However, if the gardener speaks with encouraging words saying, "You're growing slowly, yes, but you are growing." It's perfectly okay if today was a tough one. You don't have to bloom perfectly every single day. I have unwavering faith in you. Then even the most fragile, weakest plant will miraculously find the courage and resilience to stand tall and flourish once more. Your self-talk is quite literally the life-giving water, the warm sunlight, and the vital air of your entire inner world. And the way you choose to speak to yourself ultimately determines whether you wither into despair or rise into your full, radiant potential. Let's be absolutely clear. Negative self-talk is not harmless. It inflicts very real, tangible damage on your inner landscape. It erodes your confidence, suffocates your motivation, breeds deep-seated shame, and shatters the fundamental trust you have in yourself. It escalates anxiety, strains, and even ruins your relationships with others, and actively feeds into cycles of depression. Ultimately, it makes you believe that you are the inherent problem, fundamentally flawed. And when you begin to genuinely believe that you are broken beyond repair, a tragic sequence of events unfolds. You cease trying to heal, you stop reaching out for necessary help, and you abandon the belief that anything better is even possible. This isn't because better doesn't exist. It's because your relentless inner voice has cunningly convinced you that you simply don't deserve it. But what if we shifted this narrative? What if every time you made a mistake, instead of the harsh, "I'm so stupid," you gently acknowledged, "I made a mistake and I am actively learning from it"? What if when you felt utterly exhausted, instead of labeling yourself lazy, you honored your needs by saying, "I have accomplished so much today, I need rest, not guilt"? And what if when jealousy stirred within you, instead of condemning yourself as such a bad person for feeling this way, you compassionately stated, "I am human. I experience a wide range of emotions and that is perfectly okay"? This transformative approach isn't about fabricating lies to yourself. It's about consistently speaking to yourself with the exact same profound kindness, understanding, and compassion that you so readily extend to everyone else in your life. How to start talking to yourself with love. 5 life-changing practices. 1. Give your inner voice a name. Seriously, assign a name to that critical inner voice. Why? Because when you automatically declare, "I think I'm a complete failure," you're inadvertently granting your inner critic 100 unquestioning credibility. But if you externalize it by naming it, perhaps Negative Nancy or Doubtful Dan, you instantly create a vital separation between your true identity and that critical voice. You can then observe it and say, "Oh, that's just Nancy again. She always shows up when I'm trying something new or stepping outside my comfort zone." It might sound whimsical, but this simple act grants you immense power and perspective. You stop being the voice. You become the discerning listener. And the listener always has the profound power of choice. 2. The best friend technique. When you find yourself feeling low, sad, or overwhelmed, pause and ask yourself, if my absolute best friend were feeling this exact way, what words of comfort, encouragement, or wisdom would I offer them? Then courageously say those very words aloud to yourself. You will likely be astonished by how compassionate and loving your own voice becomes when it's not directly aimed at your own self-perceived flaws. 3. The mirror moment. Each morning, stand in front of a mirror for a dedicated 2 minutes. Look deeply into your own eyes, not to scrutinize your skin or hair, but with the sole purpose of saying 3 profoundly healing things. "I'm trying, I'm still here, I forgive you." Make this a daily ritual, not primarily for external motivation, but for deep internal healing. Your own reflection, that core of who you are, has been patiently waiting for years to hear those essential words of acceptance and forgiveness from you. 4. Rewrite the sentence. Identify any cruel, self-deprecating sentence you frequently utter to yourself and consciously rewrite it with compassion. For instance, cruel thought, "You're a burden." Loving rewrite, "Your feelings matter too, and you are worthy of support." Cruel thought, "You're so dramatic." Loving rewrite, "You are allowed to feel deeply. That's a part of your rich experience." Cruel thought, "You're always messing up." Loving rewrite, "You are learning and growing, just like everyone else on this journey." Cruel thought, "Nobody wants you." Loving rewrite, "You are still learning how to truly love yourself and allow yourself to be loved by others." Cruel thought, "You're weak." Loving rewrite, "You are carrying so much, and despite that, you are still courageously moving forward." Print these rewritten sentences, post them where you'll see them, and say them aloud. Your inner child is still listening intently to every word. 5. Forgive yourself. Daily. Yes, you read that correctly. Daily. Not just once a year, or only when you make a colossal mistake. Every single day, before you drift off to sleep, engage in this act of profound self-forgiveness. Acknowledge, whatever I did wrong today, I forgive myself. Whatever I said, forgot, or overreacted to, I am still learning and evolving. I will not carry this heavy burden of shame into tomorrow. This is crucial because guilt, contrary to popular belief, does not foster growth. Grace does. Find a moment to sit alone in quiet contemplation, just you and your thoughts. Place your hand gently on your heart and softly say these words. I am so sorry I have been so cruel to you. You truly didn't deserve to hear that harsh voice. From today forward, I promise to talk to you like someone I deeply love and cherish. Allow the tears to fall if they come. It's not a sign of weakness, but a powerful act of reconnecting with your authentic self. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be fearless in every moment. You don't need to have every single aspect of your life meticulously together. But what you do profoundly need is to start being kind and compassionate to yourself. Because the world is already replete with people ready to judge you, criticize you, and misunderstand you. Do not join their ranks. Instead, choose to be the singular, unwavering voice in your life that steadfastly says, you are still worthy even now, and especially now. Stage 7. Cut off the hidden triggers. Triggers are not always loud, dramatic, or overtly announce their presence by knocking and saying, hey, I'm here to obliterate your peace. Sometimes, they are incredibly subtle. They can even masquerade as comfort or familiarity, yet they insidiously pull you back into an older version of yourself. The version that was perpetually scared, riddled with doubt, and living in the shadow of fear. Imagine you reside in a room with a very soft, consistent ticking clock. Tick, tick, tick. Over time, you grow so accustomed to the sound that you no longer consciously notice it. It's merely background noise, always present. Now, one day, you finally decide to remove that clock. As you sit in the newfound silence for the very first time, a profound realization dawns on you. Oh my God, I've been living with that persistent noise for years, and I never even knew how much it affected me. This analogy perfectly describes emotional triggers. You might not actively notice them anymore, but they are undeniably present, quietly ticking away in the background of your daily life. These can manifest in countless forms. The mere presence of a certain person, a toxic group chat on your phone, a particular scent, a long-standing routine, a specific ringtone, a hairstyle you used to wear, a deep-seated habit, a certain physical place, a recurring social obligation, a monthly reminder, or even the subtle arrangement of your bedroom furniture. You might constantly wonder why you feel inexplicably anxious, yet you are still sleeping next to an object that evokes memories of the worst version of yourself. You are, in essence, still holding wide open the very door through which past trauma used to freely walk. This is where people often make their biggest mistake. They rationalize, I shouldn't have to cut people off, that feels harsh. I should be stronger than this. It's not fair to avoid everything that makes me uncomfortable. But please, listen very closely to this truth. Healing is not about proving how strong or resilient you are. Healing is fundamentally about protecting your precious energy so that you don't continue to bleed internally, draining your vital life force. If you have a fresh physical wound, you wouldn't go running through a dusty, potentially infectious field, would you? No. You would carefully bandage it, allow it time to heal, and consciously avoid anything that could infect or reopen it. This protective mindset applies equally to your emotional wounds. What might you need to consciously cut off? The nice but draining friend. They don't insult you or directly attack you, but every time you interact with them, you leave feeling smaller, depleted, and less energized. They might subtly compete with you, dismiss your emotions, or constantly dredge up your past shortcomings. It's time to gently but firmly let them go. The unspoken expectations. This refers to the insidious mental image you hold, constantly whispering, "I should be doing better by now. I should be more successful. I should be married. I should be perpetually happy." That insistent voice isn't true motivation. It's a disguised mental whip, driving you into exhaustion and self-judgment. Cut it off, not your genuine dreams and aspirations, but the rigid, often unrealistic timeline you impose on yourself. Your emotional home. Some individuals live perpetually in anger, not because they enjoy it, but because it feels familiar and predictable. Others reside in sadness or fear or guilt. These are the emotional homes they know, the default states they return to every time something goes wrong. To truly heal, you need to consciously build a new emotional home. Start by asking yourself, what emotion do I automatically default to when I feel overwhelmed? Then, crucially, ask, who taught me that this emotion was normal or acceptable? You'll often discover that this home wasn't even originally yours. It was passed down, given to you by circumstances or others. You've simply been renting it for so long that you forgot you have the power and agency to move out. Create a list titled "Things That Silently Pull Me Back into Darkness." Then create 3 columns. What is it? Why does it affect me? And what will I do to protect myself from it? Don't allow yourself to feel guilty about this process. This isn't an act of rejection. It is an act of profound self-respect. You simply cannot evolve into the next, higher version of yourself if you continually entertain the people, patterns, and places that caused you to question your inherent worth in the first place. You are not weak for needing space or setting boundaries. You are profoundly wise for choosing inner peace over external pride or obligation. You do not owe the past another visit. Instead, you owe your future a stronger, more stable foundation. If a plant isn't thriving and growing, you don't blame the seed itself. You change its environment. You diligently protect what's striving to bloom within you. And now that you've diligently undertaken the crucial work of identifying and removing the darkness from your inner world, it is time for the most profoundly powerful act of all, to turn your pain into undeniable power. Stage 8. Turn pain into power. Let us conclude this transformative series with what is arguably the most emotional and truly unforgettable stage. Because if you are reading this now, it means you have undoubtedly been through significant struggles. You have cried quiet tears in the dark. You have profoundly questioned your intrinsic value. And you have battled internal storms that no one else ever saw. You have valiantly tried to be strong for everyone around you, even when you felt like you were shattering into a million pieces inside. But now, the time has come to take every single thing you have survived and consciously use it. You've likely been advised countless times to let it go, move on, forget about the past, or don't dwell on it. However, authentic healing does not equate to forgetting. Healing means discovering profound meaning within the very experiences that broke you. It means asserting, yes, that hurt me immensely, but I am still standing, and from this, I will construct something incredibly powerful. Pain doesn't have to remain the villain of your story. Instead, pain can become the incredibly fertile starting point for your most profound transformation. There is a beautiful Japanese art form called kintsugi. When a ceramic bowl breaks, they don't simply discard it, nor do they attempt to hide its fractures. Instead, they meticulously repair it using gold. Yes, real gold. They carefully fill the cracks with golden lacquer, making the bowl not only more valuable and beautiful, but also significantly stronger because it was broken. Your pain is that gold. Every tear you've shed, every lonely night endured, every betrayal experienced, every fear confronted, every stumble and fall, if you allow it, that raw pain can be transmuted into your deepest wisdom, your unwavering strength, your compelling story, and ultimately, your guiding mission. How to turn pain into power. 4 life-altering shifts. 1. Don't ask why me. Ask what now. You may never receive a complete, satisfying answer to why life inflicted such specific pain upon you, but you always unequivocally have the choice to ask a more empowering question. Now that I have endured and emerged from this experience, who do I truly want to become? Pain transforms into power the moment you cease seeking retribution or revenge, and instead begin to seek profound rebirth and renewal. 2. Transform the emotion into expression. Every emotion is, at its core, a form of energy. And energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be redirected and channeled. Therefore, consciously turn your anxiety into a creative art form, your loneliness into inspiring leadership, your anger into clear and healthy boundaries, your sadness into compelling storytelling, and your fear into potent fuel for action. The world doesn't need more perfect people. The world desperately needs people who are brave enough to say, "Here is my scar, and here is what I courageously did with it." 3. Use your pain to help one other person. If you find yourself feeling stuck, utterly lost, or profoundly confused, take the initiative to help just one person who is currently experiencing what you once felt. You don't need an advanced degree, a public platform, or a ready-made solution. You simply need to offer the authentic empathy of saying, "I've been there too, and I truly see you." That singular moment of genuine human connection is profoundly healing, both for you and for them. Pain tends to multiply and fester in silence, but it begins to dissolve and diminish in the shared light of human connection and compassion. 4. Build your identity around your survival, not your suffering. Stop defining yourself by the painful past. Cease saying, "I was broken." Instead, proudly declare, "I am actively rebuilding myself." Don't say, "They ruined me." Reframe it as, "I courageously rebuilt myself, stronger than before." Because if pain is a scorching fire, then you, having endured it, are the precious gold that not only survived the flames but emerged refined and more valuable. You didn't come this far just to feel marginally better. You came this far to undergo a profound transformation. This is not merely a discussion about how to stop negative thoughts. This is a powerful reintroduction to your innate power. Everything you have weathered and overcome has been shaping you, not to destroy you, but to meticulously prepare you for what lies ahead. So, here is your final resounding message. You are not your pain. You are not your past. You are not merely your thoughts. You are the indomitable power that rises valiantly in the midst of all three, choosing deliberately to become something far greater. This is your story now. This is your defining chapter, your journey of healing, your time to reclaim your true self. And so, you have reached the end. Not the end of this video or these words, but the definitive end of a version of you that simply didn't know better. The version of you that perhaps thought, "Maybe I'll never truly heal. Maybe I'll never truly be free. Maybe this is just who I am, destined to struggle." But now, you possess a different, more enlightened understanding. You have bravely faced the enemy within. You have studied its insidious patterns. And you have consciously, courageously cleaned away the lingering pain. You have fundamentally altered the narrative within your own mind. You've meticulously forged a new kind of inner resilience, building strength not just in spirit but in your very resolve. You've become a fierce guardian of your vital energy, carefully curating what you allow into your space and mind. Most remarkably, you've confronted the most formidable challenges and painful experiences of your life, not just enduring them, but actively transforming them into an undeniable source of personal power. This is no minor feat. It is nothing short of a profound metamorphosis. It is the very definition of true courage, signaling the potent dawn of a new life unfolding for you right here, right now. Should you have not heard these words from anyone else today, allow me to articulate it with absolute clarity and conviction. I am profoundly proud of you. My pride stems not from any notion of perfection, but from the raw, unwavering honesty with which you appeared, broken, fearful, weary, and uncertain. Yet you still showed up, you still made the effort, you still listened, and you steadfastly remained until this very end. This profound act of perseverance signifies one crucial truth. You are truly ready. Remember this fundamental truth. Your thoughts do not possess control over you. Instead, you are the sovereign gatekeeper, deciding which thoughts are granted permission to linger in your mind. You hold the reins of your own healing journey. You dictate the rhythm and speed of your progress. You are the author, the master weaver of your unique and evolving story. And should you continue to show up for yourself with this same unwavering commitment, your life, as you know it, will be irrevocably transformed. It will never be the same again. For it is through these consistent, small yet deliberate steps, undertaken with self-love and radical honesty, that truly powerful and meaningful lives are built and sustained. Indeed, you are already well on your magnificent journey. If the resonance of this message has touched your heart, if it has made you feel genuinely seen, deeply understood, or undeniably stronger, then I extend a simple yet powerful invitation. Join this community by subscribing. By doing so, you can ensure you continue on this path of learning, constant growth, and profound healing. This channel, you see, offers more than just a collection of videos. It is a dedicated space for profound personal transformation. Our mission here is to intricately weave the journey of English learning into the fabric of your emotional strength, and then to empower you to transmute that newfound emotional strength into the foundation of a truly better, more fulfilling life. We communicate with intention, slowly, clearly, and from a place of depth. This ensures that even if you are still navigating the initial stages of learning English, you will never feel disoriented or left behind within our community. Here, above all, you will find a space where you are truly understood and accepted. Therefore, take that step. Subscribe, activate the notification bell, and officially embark upon this shared transformative journey. Know unequivocally that you belong right here with us, and understand that this is merely the powerful unfolding of your beginning. Thank you for dedicating your time to watch. Thank you for your perseverance in staying until the end. And most profoundly, thank you for showing up and fighting for yourself. I believe in you completely. Now rise and go forth to boldly become the magnificent person you are always destined to be.